Welcome, this is Bob Cravens, founder of Dig Labs and sponsor of Taskilio. I want to give you a little tour of what's inside Taskilio. That way you can get a better idea if it fits your needs or not. If you have questions after this tour, feel free to contact me. You can click the Contact Us button. It'll bring you to a form on the Dig Labs site. Enter that and that emails me directly. Or if you have questions on Taskilio, you can crawl through the documentation, so you can see the different topics there. But for now, let's log in and see what we can see. So, click a login page. Once I log in, I'll be dropped onto a list of all my projects. So you can see all the cards from my different projects. What we're going to do today is just dig into one particular project here. So on this page, this is the dashboard for this project. You can see a lot of information about the status of the project, how many stories are still left to do, how many are being in progress, how many are done, the number of hours. You can get velocity information. The data in this sample is not very typical. I haven't gone in there and actually burned down any of the stories. It's not a real project. So you can kind of see, instead of here's a burn down chart, instead of this thing actually burning down, it's just more going horizontal. Here's a cumulative flow diagram. Again, you would not typically see this kind. You would see it more ramping up, and then what's started and done should eventually edge up towards what's the total there. But you can see, you get the idea. There's cumulative flow and burn down charts for the project itself, and then for every iteration that has been started has those charts also. Let's look at the backlog here. So here's the backlog. You can prioritize the backlog by dragging and dropping. So if this is no longer the first top priority story, I can drag it down and drop it there. And then you can expand any of these stories and see their tasks. And of course you can add new tasks or add new stories, and it's pretty simple to do. But what I want to look at next is planning. So let's say you've filled your backlog, and now you want to actually plan your iterations. So you can go over here and you can see that there are currently 3 iterations planned. You can drag and drop between them. You can delete the iterations. So when I delete iteration, the actual backlog doesn't go away, or the stories don't go away, just the iteration does. But let's say I had a couple of iterations that are not planned. I can always add a new one. So I can add iteration number 3, and then it'll show up down here, and then I can drag my stories over and set those as a goal for iteration number 3. You can see iteration 1 has a hint of green. That's to set it off so that you know that it's been started. It's a good agile principle that once an iteration has been started, we try not to mess with the scope of that iteration. Here's the tasks for iteration number 1, iteration number 2. These stories don't have any tasks in them yet. Obviously, you would get those tasks and add them in there in the backlog panel before you actually got to here. But you can go back and forth between the different iterations that have been planned. What I want to do now is take this and slide my window over to the right-hand side. I got another window. This is a Chrome browser on the left-hand side, and they're both facing they're both pointing at the same project. So assume that the one on the right-hand side, this Firefox window, this is my browser. The one on the left-hand side is my partner's browser, my teammate, who I work with and I collaborate with, but we may not be co-located. So, maybe he's down the hall. Maybe he's in a different building. Maybe he's across, different state, different country, wherever he's at. But let's say today, I'm going to start an iteration number 1. I'm going to drag this over and get going. So what you can see is that it's assigned it to me automatically when I drag it over to the doing. It knows who I am. It knows me. So you can see it there. And you also notice that my teammate browser, who I'm collaborating with, his tasks board got updated also to reflect the nature that I had started this task. Same thing, I can go in here and I can change story points. So let's make this 20, and then you'll see his task board gets updated to 20. I can go in and burn down some of these points. So let's say I got half of them done today. I can also set a flag so that it indicates that there is something going on. I can't go past that. I'm kind of stuck. And so when tasks are stuck, you can raise the flag and get them some attention. You can also unstick them. You can add a note to them. Here's a note. So if I add this note, then my partner can go in and look at the notes on the thing, and he can see, or she can see the notes. So that's the task. The idea of the task board again is each one of these, this big row here is the story that has tasks under it. I want all my tasks to end up in the done column eventually. So as I'm peeling them off of here, I would, and burning down these points, eventually I get to the point where all the points are burned down and all my tasks are completed. So that is kind of a tour of the tasks board. Once I complete all these tasks, I can click archive, and then the tasks, or those stories, will actually show up in the archive list. I don't have any here right now. As far as the team and collaborators, I can go in and here's where I can search for people that are on Taskilio and do a project and collaborate with them. And then the settings tab allows me to export. So if I want to export all the content, it's JSON format, so it's portable. If you want to take all your project's data and you want to export it out and save it and import it somewhere else, you can do that. And then of course you can delete this project anytime you want. I should mention on the teams, there are, I have another sample user here. So add my daughter in here. So when I add somebody to my team, I can give them privileges. So if they're mostly working on tasks, I can say, give them a task, they can edit tasks. And then, they can come over to the storyboards and drag and drop. But they're not allowed to enter new tasks or enter new stories. So if you want them to work on the backlog or the planning, then you need to allow them to edit stories. And if you give them project admin access, that means that they can do anything you can do as a project creator, even delete this project. So you want to assign the appropriate privileges. And then of course you can always remove that user. So that is a whirlwind tour. And again, if you have questions, my name is Bob Cravens, and you can get a hold of me at the front page of Taskilio at the Contact Us button. Thank you.